Some banks are worried that there will be a logistical crisis when it comes to checkbooks after Delaru Kenya announced that it would be freezing its operations from March the 31st. Now, as a Kenyan who's currently struggling with extremely high inflation and I just don't know where my salary goes, I can tell you that not having a checkbook is the least of my worries.
We don't know why our banks, and soon we are going to call them out, why our banks are giving our money to our government for bonds that do not exist in the budget. And then our taxes are going to pay those exorbitant interest rates.
Back to the banks.
Back to the banks. This is a Ponzi scheme of some banks here, and they better stop it. They better stop it. They have created oligarchs of themselves at our expense, and they better stop it. Their time is now coming to an end. They better stop it.
This is for entertainment purposes only. So family, according to the Kenya Deposits Insurance Corporation, 99.7% of Kenyans have less than 500,000 shillings in their bank account. So basically the whole entire country is broke. And can you imagine yesterday when Nabi's wife, the evangelist of State House, went to the national park. She was wearing a 2 million shilling Rolex watch. These people are so out of touch. And this is a ticking time bomb. It's not tribalism that's going to finish Nabi. It's not politics that's going to finish this government. It's the economic crisis that 99.7% of Kenyans are in. This is a ticking time bomb.
It's laughable, but not a laughing matter. It is funny, but it's not a funny matter. It's not simple. The government of Kenya has borrowed over 5 trillion Kenya shillings from the domestic market, meaning banks. That's why when you go to the bank, they have no money for you. They give you conditions you cannot meet and they tell you you're not qualified. Why? Because banks are no longer interested in lending Kenyans. Why? They are lending to the government. 2 things have contributed to the banks not lending you money. Part number 1 is because they are lending to the government, over 5 trillion. Reason number 2 is because the government has made sure that there is no circulation of currency. There is no money circulating in the economy. How have they succeeded in doing this? Remember, the government is the biggest business partner, is the biggest contributor to micro SMEs and medium SMEs and small enterprises. All of these, the government is the biggest supporter. So most of the money comes from the government. Remember, the government has a budget of 4 trillion to spend 4 trillion. The government spends a lot of money, and by government spending money, local businesses make money. When government does not spend this money locally, local businesses don't make money. So how have we lost? Why is it that there is no money in the economy? It is simply because whenever the government is giving contract to companies, and this, I'm talking about, contracts that are millions, hundreds of millions, or even billions. We are talking in terms of billions. All the contracts for billions are given to international companies. Call it construction companies, call it consultancy companies, call it what companies. All of them, they are being given these contracts, big contracts. So this is what has happened. The government and the people in the government, they go outside the country, they register offshore companies, they bring them into Kenya, and they are given contracts. So whenever you see foreign companies coming to Kenya, most of them could be companies owned by Kenyan politicians and powerful people in the government. And they make sure that ministries and the ministry agencies and departments, they give jobs to these companies that are international or foreign. Why? So that it is easy to get the money out of Kenya. Because if you pay a foreign company, they have a policy with the company of their origination that they ship money back. Whatever remains after they have paid their expenses, they have paid the migra fees to the laborers and everyone else, the money is shipped back to the country. That's how these Kenyan leaders, Kenyan politicians, and Kenyan influential government officials are able to take money out of the country. The profit that they get, because you know, when you're doing business with government, you charge them 3 to 4 times of what you could have charged normally. And remember, the first part of the charge goes to laborers. If a job is for 10 billion, that means 2.5 billion will be paid to these local laborers, some engineers from here, but 7.5 billion will go out of the country to the company where the company was registered. That's why you find we do not have money in Kenya, because all the money that these companies are being paid is shipped out of Kenya. And remember, they are doing it very quickly because it's their own company. But Kenyan companies that are supplying to the government and to the county government and to the agencies and to the departments, their payments are delayed for years, for months. That's why there is no money in Kenya, because the government does not pay pending bills, does not pay current bills, does not pay anyone, unless they themselves are the one doing the business with the government. But mostly, they are holding this money because the money has already been paid, but it reads it has not been paid to you. You're the one who has not been paid. But when you go to the records, you can see many of these pending bills have been paid, but to very suspicious ghost companies. Because most of the payments are paid to ghost projects that have never been done. Meaning the money never arrived on the ground. There is no money on the ground. Money went to someone's pocket and he shipped it out of the country. This is the situation. So, to combat this, Ruto thought that he could lower the cost of the loans. All right? IMF told him, before you go very far, stop it right there. Stop it, Ruto. You can't lower the cost of loans.
Without economic activities, this bank haifai ku make profit. When you deposit cash into the bank, hiyo cash inafaa kuwa liability kwa bank. So bank lazima ifanye kitu ndo make profit. Na kufanya hiyo kitu inafaa kufanya ikirudisha hizo pesa back to the economy. Now back to a question. How comes kwa economy hakuna pesa lakini bank zina make profit? Kwani hizi bank zinapeleka wapi pesa? And that is what I'm here to show you. Ukiangalia statements of accounts ya any bank yenye iko Kenya, utarealize kwamba serikali ndio the biggest customer to these banks. Ndio maana nikauliza, serikali inafaa kucompete na economy ama inafaa kucompete na wananchi? Na tutaangalia banks kadhaa. Tuanzie na Equity Bank. Tutaanza na Equity Bank, na ukitaka hii information unafaa uende kwa kitu inaitwa comprehensive udownload statement of accounts ya any bank, alafu uende uangalie kwa section inaitwa comprehensive income statement for better understanding. Na ukumbuke hapa tuangalii ati Equity Bank ilipeana loan ya pesa ngapi. Tunaangalia Equity Bank ilitengeneza pesa ngapi out of kupeana loan. That is the profit yenye Equity Bank ilitengeneza kwa sababu ya kupeana loan. Okay? Ukiangalia hiyo income statement pale chini utarealize that total interest income ni 66.63 billion. Now, hiyo 66.63 billion wameiachieve aje? Ile income ama ile profit walipata kwa sababu ya kupeana loans and advances. Hiyo ndo inaitwa pale juu total loans and advances. Walipata 26.04 billion. Government securities ilikuwa 26.02 b. Now what I want you to note is that hii 26 billion ni zile pesa Equity Bank ilipata juu ya kufanya biashara na serikali. Okay? Ile profit walipata juu, sio ile pesa walikopeshia serikali, ni ile pesa walipata juu ya kufanya biashara na serikali. And mind you, kwa hizi 40 billion, hizi hizi peke yake wamepea serikali. Kwa hizi 40 billion, ujue hizi 66 ni zile the total profit yenye wamepata kutokana na kukopeshea the economy plus the government sasa hii. Okay? And kwa hizi 40 billion, kwa hii 40 billion ya total loans and advances, ujue hizi billions ndo ndio tunagawanya kwa individuals accounts, sawa, to SMEs, ndio big enterprises, sawa, alafu bado kuna government subsidiaries zile bado kuna government subsidiaries akina county government, kwa sababu county governments haziuzangi securities, na bado tuko na parastatos, sawa. Ujue hizi mbili bado ni za serikali, kwa hivyo kuna zile pesa bado hizi county government na parastatals which are part of the government bado zilipatia Equity Bank in terms of profits, sawa. So ukichunguza vizuri, out of this 66 billion unaweza pata serikali peke yake imepatia Equity Bank as profit over 35 b, sawa. So what you should realize is that hii serikali contribute to more than half of the total profit yenye Equity Bank ilitengeneza kwa hii mwaka ya 2021. Okay? So unapata serikali contribute more than half of whatever Equity Bank ilitengeneza. So the government becomes the biggest beneficiary wa hizi loans ambazo zinafaa kucontribute to the economy. Sawa, hatutaangalia hiyo bank peke yake, wasiseme ati tunaonea Equity Bank. Wacha tuone banks zingine. Ndio watu wasidhani ni Equity peke yake inafanya hiyo kazi. Msiseme naonea Equity. Wacha tuangalie banks zingine. Na tutaangalia KCB. Tuanzie na KCB. Income statement ya KCB ndio hiyo ya the same year 2021. Tunaona total interest ama total profit yenye hii bank ilitengeneza ni 78.34. Ni billions. Okay? Total loans zenye walipeana 59.27. Okay. Total government securities 17.9 b. The total profit yenye wametengeneza kwa sababu ya kufanya biashara na serikali ni 17.9 billion. Na hii ni profit, hii si ile pesa ilikopeshea serikali. Hii ni profit yenye KCB walipata juu ya kufanya kazi na serikali. Na tumesema kuna subsidiaries zingine za serikali zenye bado zitakuja kugawa hizi pesa. Hapo usisahau kina county government na parastatals and other many ways zenye serikali ina borrow indirectly. Kwa sana na hiyo tuende National Bank. National Bank total interest hawa ndio hata wameuao, wamegongwa karibu wakufe. Total interest ya National Bank ilikuwa 12.24 billion. Ile profit wali make out of loans peke yake ilikuwa 6.3 billion. Government securities, pesa za serikali direct ni 5.76 billion. Already unaona ile profit National Bank walitengeneza kwa kufanya biashara na serikali ni almost the same amount na zile walitengeneza kwa kupeana pesa kwa other avenues other than government. And don't forget, every time don't forget that bado serikali indirectly iko na stake kwa hizi 6.3 billion. So we can simply say that National Bank exists only to serve the government. Haina biashara ingine inafanya. Ile biashara ingine ni kidogo sana. Serikali ndio the main customer hapa kwa National Bank. Now let's look at the last bank. Bank ya ule jamaa NCBA. Si mnajua ni nani? Wanasema total interest income walitengeneza 42.2 billion. Total income on loans zile wamepata kutokana na kupeana loans ni 22.4 billion. Total government securities, total income on government securities, zile pesa walitengeneza kwa kufanya biashara na serikali ni 19.2 billion. Hata hii inakaa tu National Bank bado wanafanya ni kama kazi yao ni kufanyia tu serikali juu. Si bado mnakumbuka kwa hizi income ya loans, ya kupeana loans peke yake, si mnakumbuka bado serikali iko na indirect stake, inatengeneza profit kwa sababu ya kufanya kazi na serikali. And this is the point I'm asking you. Kama hizi pesa zote now ile swali nataka kuuliza Wakenya wenzangu, hizi pesa ni ile profit hizi bank zilitengeneza juu ya kufanya kazi na serikali na juu ya kukopeshea serikali pesa, ama juu ya kupatia pesa ambazo zinafaa kuwa zikicontribute to economic activities zinapatia serikali? Kama hii ni profit peke yake, hizi zote ni profit peke yake, wewe unafikiria walikuwa wamekopeshea serikali pesa ngapi? My next question is, which I will answer in the next video. Hizi bank zinafaa kuwa zina facilitate economic activities. Hizi pesa zikienda kwa serikali zinarudi kwa economy. That will be in our next video.
Let me give you an example. My pet project is debt. When government goes to borrow at 18% interest rate from the domestic market, government has mopped all the money. The banks have an appetite to only now lend to government, not to the private sector. They can't lend you money because they prefer to give money to government because there's a sovereign guarantee. So government is the one that is now trading with the banks. So the only people going to declare profits are banks. Why? Because they know they lend the same money to government. Government will come to you, the people, increase your taxes, take whatever little in your pocket, give the banks a high interest rate. Bank against lends to the same government. They come to you, release your pockets, get money to pay the banks. Then they are earning profits. But you have no production taking place. You have no access to capital. There's nobody who can go to a bank today and say, I want a loan of 100 million to do a project. Because you walk into a bank, at your request of 100 million, you'll be told your interest rate is 25%, 20% interest rate. Right? Why are they saying high interest rate? They prefer to lend to government, not to you. In fact, they don't want you. The interest rate you are being given is just to chase you away. But even if you say you take the leap of faith and you take it, right away that's an unperforming loan. Yeah, you'll not be able to finance that project. You'll not be able to pay the interest rate. That is why you go to auctioneers' yards today. Kenyans are being auctioned right, left, and center. In the dailies, the most advertised product is the auctioneers' pages. People are not able to perform. They're not able to pay their loans. So, just one policy. Government is borrowing from the domestic market. Has denied the private sector, has denied so many Kenyans access to capital. So they cannot do anything. And the government takes the money and eat it. There is no project they are doing. Because if the government was borrowing this money to do a project, do a road, that road project will spur growth. Government takes the money from you, that now they want to become landlords, to build houses. Look at the affordable housing, another policy. The cost of the so-called affordable housing is even more than the cost that the private sector offers for similar houses. But what have they done? They have denied you access to mortgage facility. You cannot go to a bank and take a loan of 10 million to build a flat. The bank prefers to lend to the government. But if the interest rate, the government also borrowing from the bank, the interest rates will fall drastically because these banks have money. And with this money, they need to make profits. So they'll start begging you to finance your ideas. Interest rate will be 5%, 4%, 3%. Because Equity will come with their rate. I'll give you a loan at 3%. Standard Chartered will come and say, we'll give you at 2.5. Family Bank will tell you at 1.5 or 1 year grace period you're not paying. So people there, they'll be competing amongst themselves to access the market. And then Kenyans in their numbers who have access to capital will be able to engage in economic activity. They'll be doing production work. When they are doing an economic activity, there will be circulation of money in the economy. There will be increased consumption. So government collects more in consumption tax. These young people will be employed in those sectors of production. They'll be paying pay as you earn. Government will just sit back and collect the tax to use it to further develop the country. But if government comes to your own space to compete with you in terms of accessing capital, it's an oxymoron. It's stupid.
Okay.
It's stupid. Okinyi, it annoys me. The economic minds that are in Kenya Kwanza, they are thick in the head, if you ask me. Because these are basic economics. Look at the Western liberal economies that have flourished, and even the ones in the Asian tigers. The number one thing is access to capital. So if you apply supply-side economics, you remove the barriers that are stopping people from accessing capital. Remove those barriers. Allow people to access capital. And people have ideas. The individual has great ideas to produce. The individual, when it's his own project, he is more efficient. He is not caught up in bureaucracy. He's going to give it his all because he wants to gain profit within the shortest time possible. So that is just one. So we must lay the blame squarely on government.
You like me, why them a fight me? You like me, chewing a bone with a bitey. You like me, chewing a bitey. Don't like how I got we don't trust them, even if we bust them. We don't trust them, stay far, not touch them. We don't trust them, hope their man has some them. Inform me, say you must them.